So nice. Well, here we are.
I
Shoot.
know. It's exciting. All right, we will start. How are you, ladies? Good to finally meet you. I'm so excited to meet you. How's your
We're
day going?
good, good. We're excited to meet you too. So glad to be here. It's going well, quarantining, thriving. Yeah, enjoying so close that we could meet, like this.
Like that. All right, exactly. In
Okay.
these weird times. So I'll do a little intro just so everyone knows who we're speaking to. Right now, my name's Lola Wusu. I'm here with the Black Design Collective, and we are talking with the lovely Kutula. Am I saying it correctly? I believe
Yeah.
Okay, Kutula owners right now. It's a family business, second generation. They're sisters, born and raised in LA, but with roots of Nigeria and Zambia. And this Kutula has been around for over 45 years, and it's taking contemporary Afro-centric clothing and Afro-inspired clothing and putting it here in this contemporary world. Their legacy has been I've been doing some research, and it's amazing what you guys have done, and I love it. But for those of you who don't know, they're responsible for some of the looks with Ruth Carter in the Black Panther. Ruth Carter, one of the founding members of the Black Design Collective. And if you've seen that press tour, they definitely put some stank on the amazing looks that we're seeing throughout the press tour of that movie, and how it changed all of our lives, from just how beautiful everyone looked to what they wore. So yeah, with no further ado, hello ladies. You can introduce yourselves individually just so we know.
And I'm Nyambo, but everyone calls me Bo. Our last name is Analoha. And so our dad is Nigerian, our mother is Zambia.
Niger in the house, though. I love it, though. I love that.
I represent LA West Side.
LA native. I love it. I love it. So, yeah. So you guys have had before we get into you guys becoming owners of your family business, you both had careers before this. Before you decided to become a boutique owner and designer, what was that? Let's go back to before.
Yeah. Our time, I spent most of my adult life back east in New York and DC, and I was in corporate PR, working from everything from human rights to energy. And we met up at different points in New York in our New York and DC journey. We kind of were there at separate and same times. And so, yeah, we had a very fast-paced life, career back east. So definitely, looking back, it's very interesting to see how we've gotten to this path here. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, and my background was primarily public affairs, so working with governmental affairs. Yeah, energy, finance, and did a little bit of nonprofit work as well, mostly here in Los Angeles on the energy side. Okay. And then in energy, I worked in energy as well, and then in some hedge funds in New York City, and then nonprofits in DC, which was really fun.
That's so fun. I love, for so many reasons, that you both were in environmentally conscious realms and bigger, very different business entities, which is so exciting.
Yeah. I think that we're very cause driven, and I think the threads run through it, and you'll hear about the story and just like their inspiration behind our mom and like her roots and what she started out doing. It all centers around cause related things. So even I was working in PR, but it was always like, I was working in human trafficking, and it was working in education. So it was always for a greater mission. And even a lot of what we do right now with the brand, we see it a lot of is it being cause related and really providing like a public service.
That's amazing. I love it. My heart is that. So yes. So yeah, so you were having these amazing jobs in New York, changing the world. What made you decide to come back to LA and take over the family business?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it was kind of like most creatives. I mean, we were on the corporate side in our career forever. And then like the creative juices started coming. I mean, for me, it was kind of like those 3 a.m. wake up middle of the night, like, like, could I do this? Should we do this? Our mother was retiring and she was like, you know what, girls, I'm retiring. So like, I'm closing up shop, I'm out of here. Do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm gone. We were like, oh, well, we're incorporated. We can't make the move because like our careers are like fully flushed. And she's like, oh, well, I'm just going to close up. And so it was kind of like those, it was a tug of war. Like, oh, should we do it? Should we not? Should we do it? Should we not? And then it's just like the right thing to do. It was like family businesses. The right thing to do is to take it over. Your parents probably will never tell you that, but it just kind of came out organically for us.
Yeah, we saw a lot of connections behind just like larger brands and their brand history. And, you know, it all comes fundamentally down, like our economy is really based off of small businesses, family-owned businesses. That's what the biggest brands have started out as. And I think you take it for granted because growing up, seeing the business around me every day, I didn't really see it as one and the same. It wasn't until I started watching some of these entrepreneur shows and I was like, started to realize, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was my parents. Like they started out with like a couple yards and then next thing you know, they built their market. And so I started to have a newfound respect for what they did. And I was like, wow, if we take what they've done all this time and like infuse some of our skills into it and bring that to bear, it could be really powerful and it could really be a legacy to continue on. So it was just kind of the light bulb started clicking. And I think for ourselves, we wanted to have something that was our own, you know, and be able to see the efforts of your work, because you could be working to build, you know, a million people's dreams, and at the end of the day, you start to think, okay, well, what's my dream, you know? And so I think what made us do that leap from that corporate world and come back to our roots in LA.
And who knew creatives were having so much fun? We were like, oh my God. We didn't know because we were, you know, creatives. Board meetings, reports, and and I was just like, oh, we get to design and create. It was like really refreshing. So
how much of that education that we have taken through we got coming from a formalized education perspective, it thought that I would, you know, learn on the go like that. And I'm really realizing like, oh, I got a fashion degree in an atypical way. And through through apprenticeship and learning and years and just seeing that. And so like you're like, no, I don't want to know that.
I mean, the business for decades. I mean, for me, even like when I was working in energy, when I was off work, I'd come and work at the boutique, you know, it's kind of just, it was great to do. So now we're in a whole different phase and it's just it's an exciting time to be in, you know, in fashion and doing the type of work that we do. So we're happy we made the choice.
That's so great. I love that. And I love that you realized that you had the experience that you may not have, just because it wasn't traditional experience, you had just as much experience. And quite honestly, somebody who went to school, it wasn't until I actually did it that I actually learned. And so you guys have been going to school your whole lives.
It's amazing to know
day one.
That's amazing. So, so your mom had this one. Let's take a little step back. What made her decide to start this? Was it the legacy and being able to give it to you guys, or was it just her creative dream and journey?
I think it was on her own creative journey. She hit sort of a stalemate in her own career. She worked in social work. She came here. She was the first graduating class from the University of Zambia post-independence. So this is the time when all the African nations were getting their independence and they're sending their graduates out to come back and be part of the infrastructure for the country. And so she was going to be part of their social work infrastructure, but she met my dad and then she was here and she was doing like kind of an internship.
Love story.
And then they never left. And then
typical African story, right?
I love it.
Education, come to education and meet someone is like, oh, well, we're not going back. So,
I mean, what's it all for?
Yeah.
it's totally true. And so it's actually interesting because we talk a lot about what working for someone else kind of does for you and what it kind of pulls away from. And she learned early in her career that she didn't want to do that. And so she was working in social work. And she had the foresight to see kind of the issues in the system and saw how much she wasn't going to be able to make direct change. And so she actually decided she got a couple yards, and then she started to see all the different changes happening in the environment and the cultural movement. And she just, one thing led to another, and she started to produce these clothing. And so she was self-taught, and she started designing. And it wasn't all that different from a political time we're in now, where she started to, where people were coming up to her and they were buying more and they wanted more. And, you know, there were a lot of men that were first her client base. Her client base was, you know, predominantly men, and they would come and they would want, you know, certain items. And so it just took off. And since then, I'd say the reason why we've been around all this time is because she's cultivated a very loyal base that we have only continued to nurture and grow. And that's the only way you can still be around, is that you've nurtured a base and you continue to listen to your clients.
Listen to your clients. Yep.
That's huge. So what is it like working together? Because I have a sister and I love her so much. If she's watching this, I love you. However, we've yet to, I mean, we played sports together. So we've competed, we've loved each other through it, and we've helped each other get better at a lot of things. But at the same time, like, it's still the same person that you can say whatever you want to at the end of the day, regardless of how you're, you know, how it's going to be received. How is it working together? Like, obviously you guys don't have the same relationship as my sister and I. However, I can see that there could be some challenges.
Yeah, there are challenges. I mean, first of all, like, we sound the same. So sometimes when we're on the calls or things like that, people confuse us. And I'm like, clearly it's me, Bo, you know. But I think it's really been great because we have a really respectful relationship. So, I mean, my strengths are only strengthened, and so are hers by us working together. And any weak points that we have, we can rely on each other. And then when we need to do real talk, I think it's just like really easy. But that's more or less the way we were raised, you know, less like our person. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It tends to work.
We were actually growing up and having parents that were entrepreneurs. My dad was in real estate, and we were actually our first coworkers. So we had to learn, like, when, you know, because growing up this business, we had to quickly learn, like, if there's customers or clients, like, you're putting all your personal issues aside.
Right.
So we'd be like professional,
okay,
like,
For this moment.
yeah, and it was like,
mic you up real
you
quick.
could literally be in the middle of something, getting into it, and the second someone comes in, you're like, how can I help you? You know?
Right.
And so it was just like knowing, and it's something that I like take really, I take it really seriously, customer service, growing up in that, because I know what it's like and what it means. And so for me, it was like a foundational thing of like understanding when you have your own business, when you're providing a service to people, like how easy it is to provide good service. And so I think that shows up in our brand because of just how people, the brand experience, and people in our store, they just have a really unique and very personal experience.
Right. And I would also say, like, we're really good with like consistency, and even like with customer service, like you're saying, the consistency of service. So some people come to us like, oh, well, you work with this person and that person, and we're like, you know what? Real talk. We treat everyone the same at Kutula. We treat everyone the same. So, like,
equally fabulous.
Equally fabulous. Like, everyone's a celebrity, everyone's a star, because culturally speaking, there's so much that we understand that we're responsible for by like being the first business or the first entity that people are introduced into African culture, African, you know, fashion. And so we own that, and we really are very passionate about making them experience like high quality. And so if anyone comes into our boutique, they could see like from the fixtures and like, you know, the whole experience and the marketing. I mean, we've really put as much as we like our blood, sweat, and tears, but as much as we feel like is the excellence of Africa and the continent that's into like every interaction, whether that be from the clothing, you know, to the experience of the boutique, and just like the brand. So I think we're still learning, obviously, and there's room for everyone. There's room for growth for everyone, and it's like a huge industry, like fashion. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And as an African American, as an African, as
Mhm.
as somebody who's lived and grew up in California, I appreciate seeing the amount of excellence that you guys put into it, because it's you're an extension of me, so I don't have to explain why
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z's business ain't the way that, like, no, it's just like another way of understanding, like, yes, and some people do their business right, and so do they, and I appreciate it, just on behalf of all of
Um,
them.
that means a lot, and it brings to mind some of the inspiration why we took over the brand was, I think in the early 2000s and onwards, I would see African textiles, on the runways in Paris Fashion Week and Milan and everything. And I would see it, on a high fashion level, then I would see it, on a retail level as well. And I saw it cycling in and cycling out, kind of.
Yeah.
As I saw that, I was seeing it last more and more. And the more I was inclined to say, hey, if my mom ends up stepping away from this brand that's been around for over 40 years, and people there's not gonna be that same level of understanding and respect that, hey, there's been someone doing this. There's not just been someone, there's been a lot of people, but unfortunately not everybody has lasted. And so it's not a fad. It's not something that's just popped up out of nowhere that you just found and happened upon.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really important to ground it, so other emerging designers and people in the space, they have, sort of a foundational business that is there and gives more validity to it's not just about us, but it's giving validity to our own space and our own niche, and really showcasing that there's been people who've been around and doing this for a long time.
And it's not a trend. It's something that is forever.
It's here to stay, really. I mean, quite
Yeah.
honestly. So,
I love that. Thank you so much. You guys, such an inspiration for so many reasons, but mainly that part, I would say, is amazing. So in terms of running the business, I can imagine that there are a lot of this is how it's always been done situations where it's like, like, this is what it is, this is how it's always been done. But at the same time, the changing landscape, like, while it's not a trend, business in general changes often. What have you been able to see that needs to stay in terms of how things have always been done, but also what are things that needed to be updated?
I would say a lot of what we're a small boutique, but we're also like a Black-owned business, and we're minority women-owned business. So a lot of what we're trying to do, and we try to do every day, is just understand, like, that there's cycles to businesses, and we're in the cycle that most Black-owned businesses are really not taking advantage of the technology that is at hand, and innovation that happens all across the spectrum of different businesses. So for us, we really made it a strong intention to at least focus, like, on our designs and our styles just as equally as we did our branding and our story and our messaging, and just be able to spend the time, money, and energy to do that, as opposed to, I think some designers or some business people are like, well, I have a great, brand, I have a great product, people are just gonna like it, I don't need to spend this amount of money on anything. The brand itself, and sometimes that is the case. But if you're gonna survive through times like this, I think it's really important. And we're still learning things. We're still, like, getting our ducks lined up as far as, like, e-commerce and being able to sell, to do deliveries and, shipping and all those things that happen with the business. But because we're brick and mortar, we normally do most of our business just from the boutique. So we're getting into the digital age. Well, we're already in it, but we're really transitioning to make sure that we can meet our clients globally. Because locally we have a great clientele and following, but we're emerging more and more as a national, international brand. In order to do that, you have to be able to be online. That's one big thing that I've really seen in a lot of businesses, even in our area.
Yeah.
Like, street or in our neighborhood, they're not understanding the advantages of just social media and how that can help them. And then from there, building on to other parts to help their brand. But yeah, I would say that's kind of one of the biggest points we've seen in the 5 years that we've been, that we've had to change.
Yeah, the rebranding, I'd say, was really key. I think it's like our business was actually called Africana Imports from the 70s up till when we took it over. And so we wanted to rename the brand to have it be a little bit, something that had a little bit more meaning and reflected the brand. And so Kutula actually means to leap forward or to step in our mother's language. In Zambian language. And so, I think that was having a brand, having those types of representations of what that we've been doing all this time was really helpful. We redid the entire storefront and really wanted to make it inviting, make it elegant. A lot of times people come in our boutique and they're like, wow, I feel like I'm, like in Beverly Hills. And I'm like, well, Beverly Hills isn't own luxury at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, luxury, it's for us. It's for whoever wants it. And so we wanted to have a luxurious feeling and create kind of a palette for all the prints to stand out from and not get lost in it. And so, it's our Kutula land.
Right, and just to show Black excellence as designers. And so as we meet like other designers in the space too, obviously through Black Design Collective, but just, globally, they really appreciate like, okay, I know what it means. I know how hard it is to run a brand. So to do the brick and mortar, to design, to sell, to ship, client services, customer service, and then we can get into like styling and all that. It's just, it gets as big as you want it to get, the business, but I think we really are trying to focus and grow.
That's amazing. So what would you say then let me phrase this right. How did you grow your team? Because I assume it's not just you two doing everything. How did you grow your team from, did you already have a team set from when your mom was over it, or when you rebranded? Did you have to explain new things to them? Like what was that process like?
Definitely like a larger team at work and people that we work with, on an ongoing basis. But part of it, I think, was a hybrid situation where we took, some of our production staff that had been on board for a long time, because we wanted to make sure, primarily quality to stand through and through. It's like trends and styles, all that stuff is great, but it's a really important brand attribute, our quality and sort of maintaining that. And then so we grew our team actually a lot overseas in Zambia. Our mom, she was retiring, what we thought she was. And then she's like, hey, so she's like, hey, let me just get this little production started over here. And at first we were like wanting to, maintain our hands and everything. And then, it actually ended up being a really great thing, And so our team has grown, and now, we have a global team and we have a local team.
Right.
And so it's really helped put us at an advantage. And so in that way, she's kind of semi-retired, but still giving input in some ways. Right. And it's nice to have that continuity.
So she serves as like an advisory board, board member. So we didn't really lose her. So in growing the team, we have her, and then obviously our local team here, and also we wanted to hire people from the community in the boutique. So we have sales associates that are local and understand, and well, they're really clients actually. We retain our clients because they're like, I want to work with you girls. It's a specific like vibe, and it's an understanding of like, because we don't approach our sales as sales. It's really like it's about who you are and your brand and how you're trying to represent yourself in the world. Like no matter who you are, if you're a professional, if you're a celebrity, whatever path that you are in, you're choosing to represent yourself in this specific way, and we want to help you in that. And it's very interesting because sometimes people are like, oh, you did all these really cool things, but believe it or not, we're part of like the really like small moments. Everybody's coming in and they're just like in
sweats and jeans, and
Right.
they're talking about the wedding that they're going to be in that's going to be glamorous. They're talking about the red carpet. But it's those moments where you're just sitting there and you're talking about the vision, and it's like you're bringing that everyday person and taking them to the next level. So we actually get to interact with people on a very like human level. So it's like you could be involved in things that are at the end of the day seem really glamorous and like, wow, you know, but you know, all the lead up to that is very real, you know? It's real.
Love that. I love that. Every aspect of that, the fact that there's roots specifically still in Zambia that are still on your team is amazing, that your mother is still an advisory board on your team. And the fact that the people that are on your team also are people that want to purchase. And I used to work for a company, and one of the biggest things that they were good at doing was having their customers also be their employees. And it makes the biggest difference. They're buying into everything you're about, and you've obviously been able to do that. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, 1,000%. It doesn't make sense given the brand that we are. It's so much of who you are. It's embedded in you and your energy. So it's critical. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we don't really game things, you know. We won't look at what someone else is doing. Be like, oh well, they're doing this, so I have to do that, or you know, I want to get to this amount. I mean, we have goal setting, obviously, but it's based on just like basic business principles. So I think if you carve your own lane, you read the trades. Obviously, you want to keep abreast of what's going on in your industry, and make sure you're networking with other people to learn and really learn new techniques and refine your craft. I think those are the things that any professional in any industry is going to tell you that they do to become successful. But it's really your blood, sweat, and tears and your own innovation and creativity and authenticity that's going to drive people to you, to your brand, and then like we're all celebrating, you know, everyone's success. This happens to be our story, and you know, and we, you know, we're just happy that we're still maintaining and we're going to be back open for, you know, for our clients pretty soon. We're hoping like sooner than later, but this is a really like interesting time for us to be able to reflect where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. Let's talk about the Black Panther situation and how you get involved with Ruth Carter. Please explain that whole roundup, because now I'm realizing timeline-wise, that was shortly after you took over the business. So please explain how that happened.
Well, first and foremost, I'll just tell you, growing up, again, another organic story, I'm a comic book fan. I've loved comic books my whole life, you know, so, you know, the whole fact of the matter that Black Panther even existed, you know, it's like, I pinched myself that we had anything to do with it. So that's first and foremost. But really with Ruth, I think it's like anyone who is a costume designer or a stylist, her team came to us. It's like, we don't.
They know their stuff.
They know their stuff. If people know their stuff, they do the research and they find you. Because what they're for is what you do and they find you. Right. And you just have to be ready. That's really it. I mean, because everyone's like, oh, how did you get some inspiration?
Yeah, you just have to be ready.
You just have to be ready.
Right. That's a very good point.
And we adore Ruth and we adore her team. And from, like you mentioned, you know, in the intro, like from the press tour and even, you know, working with her team and working with multiple teams. And actually we worked initially with the team for Black Panther in his first appearance in Captain America Civil War. That was in 2014. We were just starting to take over the brand or team. So, you know, by the time it's released, it's been like 2 or 3 years.
Right, so some people, it was very interesting because people were already privy to us being a little bit part of the Black Panther world, but then we got to be part of the official world. You know, we were part of Captain America in his first appearance, and then we were waiting. Like when they came in, we were like, we're ready.
We've been waiting.
We here.
No, literally.
Like literally, okay.
Yes. We're like, okay. And then we made our predictions too. We were like, so Ruth is going to
Ruth is gonna get the Oscar. You're gonna make $1 billion. Like, this is happening.
Yeah. So we were, we were
just
meeting with them, and
know.
they first came to us in pre-production, and then we were involved in production and post, and all throughout the cycle. So with a lot of different team members, not just Ruth's team, but different aspects of the film, and it's an honor to see that behind the scenes, especially once it came into the market, and like getting to see it. And we actually went to the global premiere, and and like even the week between when we saw it and when everybody else was gonna see it, it was like
it was really hard because I mean we're in design and we're busy trying to get everybody ready for the big day, but oftentimes we don't go to the events. I mean, you as a designer, you design, you meet the needs of the client, and then I'm not going to say you move on, but it's kind of like your job is done and they're on the red carpet. And you see them, or you follow up, whatever. And so in this case, we were able to see our work and we were able to enjoy, and we just, I mean, anyone who went that night, it was just so magical. It was such a magical experience that like I just knew in my heart it was history making. I was like, there's no way, because the imagery and like the attention to detail and like and him being like an amazing advocate for us and other, Black designers.
Right, and we had the fortune, because we have a brick and mortar store, like when the trailer first dropped and, way before it was gonna come out, literally I was getting messages and texts in the middle of the night and people coming in the next day, and we felt the palpable strength of it. So I think for even people involved in the movie, because they're in their own world and they're not, like with the people. So we're with the people and we're like, I think you guys need to get ready. So we're telling people involved with the film, and even the marketing department, we were connected with our clients, and they ended up, some of the leads that are rolling out Black Panther film were shopping with us like a week or two before the premiere, and we're like, so then we got involved in doing last minute things with them, but just letting them know like what it is like on the streets, what it's like with people, what that experience has been like, and to just prepare themselves. So we were actually letting a lot of the people on the inside know, hey guys, this is
monumental.
You're right.
Yeah, we typically see everything. So when styles come and trends come, we see it. It comes to us organically because we're in the space, and we own it, and we really stay abreast of what's going on. But I just have to say, for like one moment, like the honor and pleasure that it was in working, like, okay, we in delivering what we could, as far as like what what we could design-wise for the movie, we literally were like, okay, Ruth is our fearless leader, and she put us to task, and she works in such an excellent and divine and regal way that you just feel like if you're ready for that opportunity, what a wonderful thing for her to seek out, unknown or not fully known talent. And we saw how her team worked and what dedication she did to detail, to regions, and it's just
it's such a rare honor.
It's just an honor
it's such a rare honor. I think being with the Black Design Collective, remember we were all watching the Oscars, and we were with the team and with everybody watching Ruth. And like that's probably one of the proudest moments we have, because it's so indicative of as to why we wanted to continue this brand, because we're creating new memories for designers, and the fact that Ruth can experience something that most people are never gonna realize in their lifetime, no matter how amazing of a designer they are, costume designer, stylist, whatever it may be. And the fact that she got to walk that path and see that, it's so special. And so we were just all,
what Ruth does on every film. I mean,
every film.
Every
film.
I'm like,
chill.
While you guys are speaking, I'm full like with chills, just thinking of all these monumental moments going through it. So I can only imagine not being somebody who was watching from, a few steps away and actually being involved and into it. Like, I just thank you. I'll still never forget the feeling I had when I first watched the film.
And seeing like
the feeling I had.
I know.
The whole visual, like,
and seeing the other Black Design Collective founders, like seeing the pride that they saw, and just I can't believe Like, you know, it just was like so heartwarming.
We're thankful that at this moment in history, Black Design Collective came to fruition.
Yeah.
It's so,
you know, it was such perfect timing.
Yeah, Black Panther specifically has a special place in the memory bank of Black Design Collective, because I remember having conversations and understanding that this was going to come to fruition, and seeing that they were taking the steps to creating it. And as that movie was coming out, we knew how much it was going to change the game for just people of color, you know, on a large way. And so the fact that we were going to have an organization to represent us, you know, it was like, I was like, this is divine that this is starting right now. So we couldn't be more proud to be a part of it.
And we appreciate the support, like truly, from every member to the founding members, you know, Ruth, Miss Angela, Mr. Hall, you know, Mr. Walker, just everyone. We really, really are thankful. And for you.
I have not done anything except for enjoy the fact that you have been doing your work. So I really appreciate it, and agreed. This founding, the founders of the Black Design Collective, it's great to finally see the vision that they have. And this is it. This is why they have vision, to see the legacy continue and to support each other. And I really love the fact that, we're all here recognizing it. Like we're members because we recognize the greatness that we can be together. And I love it. I really do.
We're replicating it from fashion, design, and beyond, so that every sector we're represented, and we have, you know, a home base to be able to, you know, build ourselves, you know, emerge and be even stronger together.
100%. I so feel you on that. So how did after, of course, that I'm sure you got more exposure. So how did you deal with that? I mean, you were obviously ready. I'm hearing you say, because you told everybody else to get ready. Was there more than you thought?
Yeah, I can't relive like what we went through, really, because it was like,
we had moments where actually there were some other designers or other, you know, designers involved in the film and on Ruth's team that, you know, Ruth had already, you know, like Ruth and the people in the film, the actors, they had moved on. Once they shot the film, like they're moving on. But so people, us who were in the market space of meeting the needs of the people that need it, we were in Wakanda for like
months.
So
I think we're actually still in Wakanda.
I was gonna say, we still here.
So it was just, we have a moment of pause, and then it would be like boom, and then the next really big, you know, so it wasn't just about the film, it was so many other things that inspired people, and so it just kept on going. And I think for us, it actually helped to touch base with people in the community, in the design community, that understood what we were going through and knew, because it kind of felt like almost like a David and Goliath situation where you're dealing with this like massive entity, and just helping lift each other up and knowing that, like, hey guys, we're gonna have to grow really quickly to be able to meet the needs of the demands, and just like checking ourselves and really like taking it in the moment, but also knowing that, like, as much as it seems amazing and glamorous, it's really tough. So it's a great problem to have, but when you're in the midst of it, you know, it's really challenging. So I think that was probably the most surprising thing, going through that whole experience, is just like when you have those good problems of like high demand, how challenging that can truly feel, you know?
Yeah.
And we call on our, you know, our friends in the community and other designers to, you know, come along and we could help, you know, either have, you know, a collaboration with them. So whether it was we needed to dress someone, or even having to have, you know, increased inventory, because we literally like,
I'm sure it was exponential.
End of the day, we were like, where the store is empty, and tomorrow it's got to be filled.
It's got to be filled.
And so we like, and so it was just this constant challenge. And we would do it, and it was like every time, every day, we would do it. And we'd meet the need, but it was just astounding.
Yeah, and our storefront is about, I don't know, it's about 1,000 square feet. So, you know, men, women, children, and everybody has to have different clothing. They can't look the same, you know.
Yeah.
Turn it around.
Turn the open sign on. It's not a question of like when or if you're going to be open, or when or if I want to answer an email or pick up the phone. It's like, you are ready for business, and people are there, and they're waiting.
Man, I commend you guys for dealing with that head on and taking that, because that is one of the scariest things is fast growth and being able to handle it. But it seems like you guys figured it out. So congrats. Congrats. So now that we're here, you've had this, we're still in Wakanda because Wakanda forever, but you're here now, it's quarantine time. What are you guys doing right now? I know you said you were online more. What is it that you are doing as a company to handle what's happening now? And what do you think is going to happen later, post-quarantine?
Well, again, we listen to our clients. So, and then I think most of us in the Black Design Collective understand that if we're given a chance to not be in our design spaces, we're still going to stay creative.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can't stop that flow. It's like you got to keep it moving, you got to keep it going. So for us, I immediately was like, we pretty much, we closed up very early, like second week of March. We were one of the earlier businesses to shut down because we're like, you know, we value our clients and we just want to make sure that everything was good and well. So immediately as we got home, we're like, well, we have a lot of cotton. Like, don't they need cotton?
Right.
Like, but we're like, we got a store load.
Because we know how much when we're working with our suppliers, how much we're always dealing with natural fabrics, and and they're always like, oh, we're short on that natural fabrics. Yeah, it's like a lot so we know in the marketplace, like, you know, it's unfortunately, you know, it's not as common oftentimes.
Yeah, because a lot of designers, a lot of people just wear stretch and, you know, poly synthetic fibers, but pretty much everything we deal with, and they can be in different, not just like the Ankara that I'm wearing, Ankara fabric. We deal with, you know, like this is Kuba cloth. It's all natural cloth. Yeah. So yeah, we started making masks, and our clients, I mean, they just asked us if we're making masks. And we're like, yeah, we started. So if you need some, here they are. So we didn't go into like mass production or anything like that because we really, you know, just wanted to serve the needs of our clients. So as they reached out to us, we provided them to them. In addition to that, just staying creative and like making sure that we are envisioning and like looking at our, you know, business plans and brainstorming and seeing what it's going to be like the next iteration of our business. And so we really, I think, just had some candid conversations about like what has gone right, what has gone wrong, how can we improve. I think if during this time, if you can take a good look at yourself and see the areas that you need to grow in, look, this is the time to do it.
This is time right. I was just it's so true. I was just reading an article, and it was about like an East Village restaurant in New York, and it was like they were saying, you know, how much has changed around them in the hospitality industry, and how when they reemerge, they may be doing something different because they kind of got in a cycle of just responding. And it's like, now that the environment has changed so much, and we have a choice, and I have a vision, like maybe like how I want this to look instead of just letting all the changes happen to me and me adapting and shifting and turning. So I think across the board, I'm really excited for the innovation that's going to happen and come up with it. Even while we've been quarantined, we were part of a fun project working with LeBron's company Uninterrupted. We did a special hoodie we did a one-of-one special hoodie, a custom hoodie for the second draft pick for the WNBA. Satu Sabali, who's she's Gambian, German, and American, and she wanted to, you know, she wanted to wear those prints as she stepped into that new life, and it's just an honor culture, and we have such a history for ourselves, and like we have a long history of like basketball, and
I used to play basketball.
Yeah,
so did I.
5'10".
Yeah.
Oh yes, so have I. Yes.
It was a fun project to do while we were quarantined. So it was the first virtual draft, and we're helping everybody. We're shifting and working with her agents and her managers and everything, and just being creative. We had, as a matter of fact, when it went live on ESPN, the ESPN commentator, because we had set up this like beautiful backdrop for her. So instead of a step and repeat, we did textiles, and they're like, she's like, so she told Satsu, she's like, you win for the best background today of the draft.
I love that.
The virtual draft. So we really wanted to make it special, and so I think like creatively, when we get a client that comes to us and seeks us out because of our story, because of who we are, we try to give ourselves fully to the process back to them. So it's really a marriage in finding that sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
And not just giving your brand, you're just not giving product, you're actually giving an experience to them. So even if it we had just pulled from our you know, our boutique, at least like understanding, like educating someone on what it is and what the fabric is and how and where you can wear it. I mean, these are the things that you gotta understand, like you're educating people as a designer.
What it is on what African culture is in general. So
and even the chance to work with like a company like Uninterrupted and in his company and educating them because they're stepping out of their own lane and learning about it in a certain area. And so we have that responsibility to let them know and give them some guidance on how to, you know, enter into this space. And so stay tuned, you know, can't say much right now, but you know, there's some things to come. That was a little preview, but hopefully we'll have some more things dropping for everybody to be able to have and wear.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why we do, you know.
Yeah, so still building relations virtually even, and you know, keeping going and staying innovative and like she was saying, looking at things that, you know, can be changed and look different. But I'm actually excited for the reemergence, and I know from a creative standpoint, I know our clients are like itching. They're like, I can't wait for my reveal outfit.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Everybody's prepping.
Yeah.
Fully, I like the day that we go outside again. Like it's gonna be like a fashion show. It's gonna be just.
Yes.
So what would you give? I know you gave a little bit already. Before we get into our final questions, what would you give advice for designers right now in terms of how they're being creative post quarantine?
Well, I think really having, I mean, everyone works differently and has a different approach to how they do work. But I guess for us, because we have corporate backgrounds, we're really big on like making things systematically and doing things systematically and sticking to that. So like during the quarantine, we're even like trying to still work and like be responsible, like we're going to work. So I would say quarantine, really redefining how you spend your time, what you do, like re-educating yourself. I mean, I've done some online classes as well. So I think those are things that are gonna help you, and then just continue to understand during this time the thoughts and the processes that you were able to do and continue that in the future. So like treat yourself as a creative, but then treat yourself as a business too.
Yeah.
So like, I think you can never fail in treating yourself as a business and paying yourself in your own business by like continuing to evolve and grow and learn. So I don't think just because you come up with a creative idea, and I mean, for some lines you like let's say like a Diane von Funsterberg, she's got the wrap dress, but she's got so many other things in her repertoire, but like it always goes back to that wrap dress. So maybe going to that one pure thing that you're known for and like maybe redefining that. That's what I would say, because when you're known for things, like we were saying earlier, when a stylist or designer or, I mean, sometimes other designers approach you too, but unless a stylist or like a costumer, they're gonna come to you for what you're known for. So instead of having a whole long, big suite of things, like just focus on the one thing that really inspires you, not what's in the marketplace, what inspires you. And then I think build on that. That would be my best advice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into a little bit personal. What is your everyday routine? I mean, because we have all these things to juggle, I am always curious to see what success looks like for every day for each person. So what do you do when you wake? When do you wake up? What is it that you do? What's your routine?
Yeah. Well, for me, I remember from my previous career path, I remember having a really unhealthy relationship with my phone. Like before, this is almost before the relationship people now have with their phone, like in a way, it predated it. So before everybody was attached to their phones with all these apps and Instagram pinging. Like I remember having to, I worked in crisis communication. And so I had to sort of let go of that morning, like look at that barrage of emails. So I really had to retrain myself so that I wasn't starting out with this like rush of stimulus of like, what does everybody need from me in the first moment of the day?
Yeah.
And really, being intentional in that. And I will intentionally not, if I look at anything, it's going to be for enrichment. Like it's going to be news based or just like knowing what's going on around the world, just different things like that. So I make a conscious effort not to like jump into like whatever fire needs to be put out, immediately. Yeah. Take a moment, see what's happening around outside of myself and the world. So for me, that's how I kick off my day. It's like to not get triggered by all the alarm bells.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I'm like, when I worked in energy, I typically had a work schedule like 6 to 3. So my mental alarm clock always comes on. I mean, I don't have to work as early now, but between like 6 and 7, I'm normally up. I can't stay in bed after 7 a.m. So like when I'm up, I take that time just to reflect and if I'm up earlier, it's really great because those are the creative hours. Like when you're up if you're up before 6 a.m., those to me are the creative hours where you get those strokes of genius. So I try to take my morning as slow as possible. And like Kay said, I also was in crisis communications on the public affairs side in my career. And literally, I don't try to get on the phone. I don't. I might miss out on this, that, and the other, but I'm like, you know what? 8 a.m. Let me get at least an hour or two to myself so that I can calmly go into my day. Because once you're on, you're on. It's like, and
that's good.
When you're on, you're on. And so, when you own the business, like everybody's coming to you. So it's not like you be like, oh, well, it's either her or me, but it's not like anyone else we can defer to. And so that's kind of what I do. And then also I'm trying to, just have that work-life balance because let me tell you, when you're running a boutique and you're having to deal with clients that are coming in all day, whether they buy or not, they're coming in all day. So you're definitely dealing with the floor and the sales, team and, Instagram, Facebook, all the it's like so much stuff. I just try to stay centered, and more now that I'm seeing after this quarantine, I'm like, I'm gonna have to set those cutoff times. Like at this time, no more. Because you can design and do stuff. We've had some clients and we've had to really push for projects and grind through holidays, vacation time, like that. And I think I'm now at the point where I understand where some people step away from things. Like, you know what? No, we're not going to do that.
Right. Just gonna say that,
because
it's like learning. It's not even learning the art. It's like learning how to say no, but also countering. And I think even for our clients, and sometimes people come in with a very fixed idea of what they want, but not really don't really know why they want it. And so, and the worst thing you can do is have somebody come in with a fixed idea, and then they it's not really serving what they need. So you really have to kind of almost pry them open and be like, okay, I think really what you're going to be needing is this, but you can't, you got to do a soft touch. And so it's a lot of countering, with people. And I think that's something, being in this quarantine phase right now, I think it's like, it's really important to create those boundaries. Like that's my biggest thing right now is really creating those boundaries, because you can, if they're lax, it can just be a hot mess. It's like, and so once you start to pay attention to it and you create more parameters around it, I think everyone responds better. It's good for you. It's good for other people. It's good to have parameters.
That's really great. I love that. Because it really is, especially, and I'm sure everybody here on this will attest to the fact that balancing is only as good as the boundaries that you've created to do it, to be able to balance. And I love how you described it. So what would you say after all of this are you most proud of in your business? And then I'll ask you about what you're most proud of in other people and what you're most proud of in yourselves individually.
I'm most proud of the business that we're able to serve our people. And when I say our people, I mean our clan, our Kutula clan. So, I think we have a certain type of client that comes to us because they believe it's not really about being a Black business. It's not even being about us being sisters or women. It's just about us trying to provide excellence in what we do. And so I'm really proud for the fact that we're able to build like our own unique client base that comes to us for what we do. Like I just was just thinking when we were working with the team with Satu for the Uninterrupted. I think initially we're not like very. I mean, I don't think most designers are like super glamorous. Some are, tooting their own horn all the time. Like we're really, I think, a little bit unassuming of what we do, and it's about the work, not really about us as designers. Yeah. And so, like one of the people on the team was like, "Oh, well, you guys Kutula, you Kutula the outfit." We're like, "See, you get it." So
that's right.
Right, it's Kutula because we push our energy and our commitment to excellence in whatever we do. And it's kind of funny when we hear people say that because we don't really say that, but
yeah,
it's a thing, Kutula. And so I really love that about the business that we have our clients.
You're doing right when you become a verb.
Yeah. You could just Kutula that skirt. I'm like,
yeah. That's really great. So what would you say you can tell me about, continue. Sorry.
Okay. So that's what I'm most proud about my clan, the Kutula clan in my business. And then what I'm most proud about in people is that people are open to our ability to have a moment with them in time, because whatever moment we're with them, it's like, it could last forever. And people are sometimes they come to us like, man, I met you like 4 years ago. Do you remember the time and this and that? And we were talking about this and you made this for us, or we bought this thing at your store and and it changed my life. I wear it all the time. You showed me how to wear it. And like, I'm proud that people are able to like come back to us years later and say, you know what, you made a difference in what. So that's how I'm proud about people communicating that, because as a designer, sometimes a lot of times you close the door, you never hear anything back. Mm-hmm. So that feedback loop is so important because it really helps me believe in people that we're doing something really unique and, at least moving the ball a little bit more forward for people in the diaspora. And yeah, that's what I'm proud about people. And then myself, just that I guess that I have perseverance to keep learning and to keep improving. It's a skill that I learned in playing sports. I played basketball, high school and college ball, and I just the work ethic that I got from basketball actually started in this business. Mm-hmm. So I owe so much to my family and the business for teaching me follow through, customer service, just excellence in business and just trying your hardest. And then sometimes when you fail, being able to communicate hey, I'm not perfect. I can't do everything the best. Yeah. My sometimes are not as good as they need to be. I want to be able to take care of this person, that person, and there's only so much that I have, at my disposal. So just be patient with me. We're not trying to, I'm not trying to lie to anybody, steal or cheat. It's just it's the nature of doing business. And so I'm proud to say that I'm able to be part of a business, because I've been corporate, for my whole career representing other business. Now I'm representing our own business. So I think that's a proud point for me.
That's great. That's awesome. Do you want to piggyback, or do you agree, or?
Yeah, no, I think what I'm proud of most for the business, I would say I'm proud to be in this environment where if people are watching this and they're in LA, or they visit LA or want to come here, it's a very exciting time. There's a lot that's changing, but we're excited. I mean, that was another part of why we wanted to continue the brand, was to be part of this Angelino history, because it very much is part of it. And I think there was a lot of people who were insistent on my mom not closing because of that, because it's, it's a cultural slice. It's a slice of the history of this city and this town and this state. And
we're in Windsor Hills, which is we invite everybody to come and see us. It's shop block, it's all Black businesses. And Windsor Hills is Black excellence every day. And we started in 71. So that's right next door to Nipsey. We were next door to Nipsey for decades.
Yeah. Historic.
So it's historic.
Historic basis. I think that's, you know, to continue on a legacy, you know, in a number of ways is a really great and an honor. It feels like a really great honor. And then what I'm most proud of in people, it's actually kind of similar.